Oh, Chair needs to be dropped to the bench and start Saito, says Mark. What do you think? Welcome back to Where Super Hoops Walk. We're also talking this week about Jimmy Dunn. Is it time to say goodbye to him? The February fixtures for QPR, and we're also awarding the Unsung Player of the Month for January. Thank you very much for joining us. At the end of the video, we've got our team here. They're going to talk about the worst ever QPR midfielders, so stay around for that. It's 20 minutes of QPR chat. We've got Michael, Dan, Jawad, and of course Jake, a full team this week to discuss the disappointment of Millwall. Michael, who saw that coming? I know my betting slip didn't. Thanks very much.
We seem to always struggle when we go to the Den. I feel like with Cifuentes being ill, and I feel like when we have to play Edwards at right back and bring on Ashby, you're in for a bit of a worrying time. So didn't expect much out of it. We played poor, so deserved the loss, really, I think.
Okay. Can't win them all, Dan, can we? But it does bring an end to this run, and the people have been a bit reactionary, saying, "Well, that's the playoffs over now," and so on. Do you believe that's the case, or is it just a minor setback?
No, there's still a long way to go this season, but we've got players coming back. But I think a formation change is definitely needed. Personally, we're not getting enough chances. Yeah, we did at Millwall, but that was the last 15 minutes. But I think the substitutions were made very late, to be fair.
We'll get into a little bit more of it in a second. Right then, Jake, let's get into our main topic, shall we? Lee says, when are we going to stop letting Chair dine out on an assist every 5 games before we drop him? I feel for Saito, I think this has divided the fan base from what I can see online. What's your take on it?
Well, I think Saito warrants a start for his performances recently. I also think that in recent years, when we played Chair sort of in a free roaming position where he can sort of pick up off the back 4 and pick up off the 6, he can sometimes play his best football there because he's not really sort of quick and athletic enough in the 1v1 situations. But Saito has shown that he's got quality in wide areas, so he warrants a start for sure.
Cheers for that, Jake. Jawad, do you agree?
I think I probably would have rested him last Saturday against Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest. I think Jake's right. His best football comes when he can build relationships with players. So him and Willock had a brilliant understanding together. When Lee Wallace was at left back, he built up a brilliant understanding there. And I think, like Jake said, I think he's quite isolated out there. I don't think Powell offers much going forward anymore. And I think with the creative players that we have, I think seeing him link up with Saito, with the new guy from Spurs, with Smith, I think we might get the best out of him there. However, I think Marty's probably set in stone on his formation. So I think Saito should be starting on Tuesday night. But I also think the QPR fans are quite reactionary with things. I think 2 games ago, Paul Smith, Samfield were top of the world. 2 games in, they are the worst players in the league. So I think the view on Chair probably is quite consistent in that maybe it's time for him to have a rest.
Yeah, it's like you read the next tweet. Let's have a look at some others, shall we? Rob says, let the run of 10 defeats commence. Cook and Fox, experienced pros, put in a performance like that for both goals. They are finished. Chair, what does he offer that Saito doesn't? The forwards are terrible. Bring Collie on with 3 minutes to go. Pathetic. Yes, thanks for that, Rob. Highlighted our point exactly. What do you agree with there, Michael, that he said? Anything?
It's hard to disagree. It is reactionary, but I do think we are offering nothing going forward. It took us a while to get going in the game, and I think Chair needs to be swapped out for Saito. And the new guy, when he came on, he was more direct than all of our attackers for the first 75 minutes and getting a shot on target. So I think he looks lively as well. So I think we've got players to look forward to, definitely.
Yeah. This is Yang, obviously from Spurs, Dunne, isn't it? Whose announcement was done with this Squid Game kind of thing from admins, which drew a little bit of attention. Some people saying it was not right. Thought it was quite good myself. This was a take. This was takes from Adam. He says a great game for Alfie. Cook and Fox need to be off games again. That came up a lot. Ashby simply not good enough. And Yang is going to be great. Do you agree with those points, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people give Alfie a lot of stick, but there's a lot more to come from him. I think Cook has just come back from an injury. Yeah, he might have had an off game, but I think the other points are spot on, really. Without going into too much detail.
Yes, we don't want it. Let's talk about Jimmy Dunn then, shall we? Second, Jared, let's come to you for this one because he's one of your heroes this season, isn't he? Jonas says, of course, there was lots of factors to today's loss, but you could really feel Dunn's absence today, defence and attack-wise. I hope the club have a proper plan to replace him if he is gone. And then what on earth is going on with Chair, which we've already covered. What's first of all, we're recording this on Sunday night. What's the latest you heard, and just try and quantify the gap that would be left if he should move.
It's odd to say that the most important player in the team is a right back, but you could probably make a very, very strong case that for lots of reasons he's the most important player. Defensively, he's been outstanding. Even when he's filled in at centre back recently, he's been our best player. At right back, he's the one that offers the goalkeeper an out ball if teams are pressing high. He wins everything on the right hand side. Every set piece, he's the one that the players aim for. The long throws, we only use it because of him. The throw's not that great, to be honest with you, but it only works because of him. And I think in terms of the kind of glue that knits the squad together, I would say he's probably the most likable player in that squad. The rest of the players really look up to him. The new players that have come in, when Lucas Anderson signed, he took him under his wing. When Madison signed, he took him under his wing. So he is absolutely kind of vital to it. In terms of where we are with it, I just think that when a club comes in like that, they're going to get him. I don't think QPR would risk losing a couple of £1 million to see him walk away in the summer. I think they've learned recently with Willock, when you've got a player like that, if a club comes in, you've got to sell him. If it's the right move for him, I'm not sure. I think this time next year he'll probably be on loan at another Championship club. No offence to him, but it just seems to work at QPR for him, and it'll be extremely sad. I wouldn't blame him if he does go. There'll be no bad feelings.
Okay. Just that, Jake, do you agree? And can I ask? Can I add on to that? Is he Premier League standard? Should he get promotion?
Yeah, I think that they're sort of bringing him in for their promotion push, really. They know he's quality. Well, I think they think he's a centre-back, but that's the thing. If he's playing in a centre-back position, he's a different player mostly. But yeah, I don't know if he would be Premier League quality, to be honest. Possibly, but if you think about it, if he's playing at right back in the Premier League and there's the best of the best wingers up against him week in, week out, then not sure really. But yeah, I agree, thinking he'll be in the Championship on loan if he did go this time next season.
It is centre back actually. They're missing a player at. So you're probably right there, Jake. Michael, do you see this going through given his absence on Saturday then?
I know Zavicom said that it was a groin injury or something like that, but I think it might be just a bit of a disguise. If it goes through, I hope we get a good fee for him. I do think that can he make the step up? I don't think so. I think the way we play is so tailored towards him that he will look average in the defence. I think Jack Robinson was good for us in central defence. He went to Sheffield United. He can't really do in the Prem. So I can see it being a bit like another Jack Robinson or Ryan Manning taking that step up and then doing okay for another team.
All right, thanks all. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let's leave Millwall aside for a second. Let's have a look at what's going on in the future then. Let's look at the February fixtures for a second, Dan. So 4 to play then in the rest of February. Blackburn are coming this Tuesday night. This is obviously before the time of we're recording this before that game. And then away fixtures at Coventry and Portsmouth with a home game against Derby. So how many points do you reckon, Dan, we'll be sitting on at the end of February, minimum?
I'm going 6. We never do well against Blackburn, Coventry, bit hit and miss. Derby, they're on a losing streak at the moment, aren't they? And I think we should beat Portsmouth this time around. So I'm going 6.
Okay. Jawad, any advance on 6?
I think we'll do really well to get 6 points from there. I think our record against Blackburn, they are the team that we really, really, really struggle against and have done for the last 25 years. They somehow are they fifth in the league, Blackburn?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because every time I see it looks like they've lost. But so I think that's a really hard one. Coventry obviously have picked up massively in the last few weeks, 3 points off the playoffs, I think. Derby will probably have changed their manager by then, so they probably won't be as bad as they are now. And then Portsmouth's home form is pretty good. So I think we'll do really well to get 6 points, unfortunately.
I tell you what, though, Jake, if you look at the playoff picture, I think it's about 10 teams. Any 2 of them could get 5th or 6th at the moment. And Blackburn are there at the moment, but you're not far off them, even though you have lost. And if you win 2 games back to back, you pull yourself back up to the playoffs, don't you? And then similarly, if you lose 3 in a row, you're back down towards the looking over your shoulder. It's makes for an exciting championship, doesn't it? Even as a QPR fan, you must be looking at it going, "Yeah, we're going to enjoy the ride now. You're not going down."
Mm. Yeah, well, a couple of weeks back, before we lost Wednesday and Millwall, we were, I think it was like 4-5 in a row. I think it was maybe 4 points off of top 6. So it all was optimistic, and then a couple of bad results, and then the gap slightly increases. We've got a run of games with Leeds, Sheffield United, I think Middlesbrough, West Brom. So that's going to be tough as well. So I don't know. It really does go sort of to the wire, but we'll see how it pans out.
We're going to preview every single one of them on here and review them. So drop us a subscribe, and you can follow the team throughout all of the craziness of what's left of this season. Let's talk about January, though. Let's review it very quickly. Michael, can you pick out an unsung player of the month for us? The one that isn't going to win the main one from the club, but who else needs a shout out that you think's gone under the radar?
I think Saito. I think when he's played, he's been more direct. He's now putting up a challenge against Chair for a spot, and him scoring the other week, just the icing on the cake, really. I think he will go on to be a fan favourite by the end of the season, and I think he'll score a couple more, definitely.
Good shout. Dan, who's improved for you that we need to recognise?
I can't agree more with Michael, actually. Saito, 100%. Although he's not being given the game time at the moment, he shows quality as soon as he comes on in the last part of the games he's played for us. Creating chances as well. Plenty of them.
Jawad?
Yesterday was February the 1st, wasn't it? So we can rule yesterday's game out of it.
Yeah.
So I think Morgan Fox deserves a huge pat on the back. I think he was dreadful on Boxing Day against Swansea. That followed on from the game against Portsmouth earlier on in the season. And I think we all kind of wrote him off. And then for 3 or 4 games, he was fantastic. A proper leader there. And the biggest compliment that you can pay him is that we didn't miss Cook. And we all thought we would really, really, really struggle without him. But obviously, yesterday wasn't his finest moment. But for January, I think he deserves a huge, huge amount of credit.
Good shouts. Jake, can you add to this?
I think Saito deserves a shout, but my top of my list was probably Ronnie Edwards. I would say he's only just come in at the start of the month, and he seems really comfortable in the team. Did a decent job at Millwall at right back. I thought he was, considering it's not his natural position, he did well. So yeah, Ronnie Edwards.
Okay.
I think it will be a real shame if he keeps him at right back because I think he should be the first name at centre back now, and that's it. And then it's who you play alongside him. But it depends what happens this week, doesn't it? I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much as well. Get well, Marty, of course, if you're watching this as well. Hopefully you are. Then we're going to finally this week pick our worst ever QPR midfielders. We've been doing this for 3 weeks or so now. We've picked our worst ever goalkeeper, worst ever defenders, worst ever strikers. So we need to finish this off by going through the worst ever midfielders. You can help us by dropping a comment below who you think the worst ever midfielders were. Let's start with the youth, shall we? Jake and Michael. Jake, can you think of one name which you were horrified to watch?
I can think of a couple. The first one that comes to mind is Jeff Hendrick. I thought he was just horrendous and expensive and just a terrible signing.
How much did you pay for him? I can't remember.
It was a loan, but I know they were covering wages, heavy Newcastle wages. So, and another one would probably be Dizelle, I reckon. He was really ineffective for 3 or 4 years he was here. 3 years, I think. Just played every game, but it's just non-existent in the midfield. So yeah, those are my 2 picks, I think.
2 great shouts there. Jake, Michael, can you add to this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Hendrick. He was abysmal when every time he played with us. For me, I've gone for Sean Goss. I don't know if you remember him, but I think he played like 6 games for us, but he was crap in every game, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he'd come good," but he just wasn't cut up for it. And I would also say Sean Wright-Phillips. I mean, he had his moments. There was a quality player in there, but for us, he was just one of them ones that was coming on that big wage, and he put in the effort. And I'd probably say he's one of the worst. He's up there.
Controversial, Dan.
Exactly what Jake said. It's definitely Hendrick for sure, but followed very closely by Dizelle. Offered nothing going forward, always passing backwards, always out of position. So, yeah, it's a close one between them 2 for me.
Okay. All good shouts. This Jawad.
So I've got a long list, actually. Joe Barton, just because I hate him. Jeff Hendrick, the most annoying thing was the following season, he scored 2 goals against us for Reading. Like, how can someone that bad score 2? And then in the same game, Tyler Roberts scored 2. So I think that must be the 2 worst goal scorers in a championship game ever. Sean Wright-Phillips I had on my list. There was a point where he had a goal disallowed against West Brom, I think it was, in his 3rd or 4th game. And I still say if that goal is allowed, his confidence flies and we have a different player on our hands. But after that, it was dreadful. Jordan Cousins, another one we bought for quite big money at the time that I can't tell you one thing that he did for us. Sean Goss, Andre Dizelle, Jack Clark, who we had on loan from Spurs and was the most lightweight footballer I think I've ever seen on a football pitch. And if you had told me that he would go on to have a decent career, I would have laughed. We had a guy called Charlie Owens who just seemed to get contract after contract after contract, and I don't think we ever saw him on the pitch, did we, for the first team? So I can't really put him in. And then more recently, Taylor Richards, again, someone that we blew a bit of money on, and God, there's going to be a whole story about him one day that comes out, I reckon. But top of the list, Hendrick and Dizelle for me.
Wow. Okay.
And they probably played together in midfield at some point. I would have thought together as well, maybe.
Right, we've got some stinkers there. Thank you, all of you. Enough to make 2 midfields. Thank you so much. Next week, we're going to put this all together on the screen, have a look at it, and they're going to ask these lot to pick a captain of the worst ever 11, the worst of the worst, and then who the worst QPR manager was. So we'll finish that off next week. Join us for that. It's also Valentine's Day next week, so we are asking these 4 and the rest of our team, how did they fall in love with QPR? How old were they? Whose fault was it? What's their backstory to falling in love with this fantastic club? you can put your story in the comments. We'll read some of them out next week. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the games this week against Blackburn, and we'll see you in 7 days' time to review it all. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, most of you, for watching. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so.